Well, it's exactly 1 week since myself and Steve left you at Carp in the Netherlands, and I'm back on the bank, and this time back in the UK, fishing on a really exciting new water in Cambridgeshire called Holme Fen. It opens at the end of the spring in 2015, and the owners just allowing members of the press and friends and syndicate members from the other waters that they have test fish the venue, just to make sure that the fish have seen a bit of angling pressure before it opens to the general public. It's a big piece of water, about 30 acres, and it's stocked with only about 170 carp, so it's by no means a runs water, and the idea, I believe, from talking to the owners is to create a big fish venue on a day ticket, as many syndicates now, especially in this area of the country, have got very long waiting lists. So I've started walking around. I'm about, I don't know, a quarter of the way around. I've yet to see anything pop its head out or show or anything, so I'm just going to make my way right round the venue, just sort of getting towards the end of the wind here. Hopefully we'll see a few fish on the end of the wind. It's blowing a northeasterly at the minute. And yeah, plan is try and find a fish or two showing, and set up on some fish, because we don't really have anything else to go on. It's a water I've never seen before, so let's get cracking. Right, well, I've just spent the best part of an hour walking around the lake, and we've not seen a great deal, to be honest with you. Sat up on the end of the wind for quite a while, and looked pretty lifeless, and the water up that end especially is gin clear, whereas we've come around onto the back of the wind. It's not a strong wind by any stretch, but it is a northerly wind. Come onto the back of the wind, and the water has a little bit more colour to it. It's still not muddy by any stretch, but it's got definitely some more colour to it, and we've seen 2 fish show in the space of about 5 minutes, just in this sort of secluded bay off the back of the wind. So it looks as good a bet as any as a starting point. I think what I'm going to do is just get a couple of rods rigged up and just wait for another fish to show, flick them out onto them, handful of bait, and I think we've got probably a good couple of hours before I need to decide where I want to actually fish for this evening and get the bivvy up and everything. So a couple of rods, mat and a net, and it's as good a starting point as any, and then we'll decide where to fish for this evening a little bit later on. Right, well, it hasn't taken long. I've literally got three rods out. You might be able to see behind me, just on the deck. One's there. I've got another one just behind Harry. Just literally, I put 2 out on a little PVA bag of pellets with a wafter hook bait, and then one on a chod. And I was just happy if I felt the lead touch down, I left it. So I think I made 5 or 6 casts in total, all 3 rods. Leads touched down, and it felt okay. And yeah, literally, I don't know, 10 minutes and it's away. There's actually another fish swimming with it in the water. I can see 2 fish. That's really weird. I just looked down the bank actually just before I got the bite, because Harry's actually getting to fish as well on this session for a change. So he was just having a lead around still. I think his area, what he's gone in, is a little bit weedier by the sounds of it. And this is the first fish that I have caught using the new Transcarky Illusion mainline. I usually prefer to fish with a mono mainline with a fluorocarbon leader, but the rules on this particular venue is that there are no leaders allowed, so I've gone with the fluorocarbon mainline because I knew it was a gin clear gravel pit, and you cannot beat the visibility that you get with that Transcarky, and it's like the fish don't know they're being fished for, and you can get bites pretty damn quick. Really putting up a good battle. There's a lot of weed in the margin. Got my wellies on. Might have to get waders out later on in the session if it proves too problematical, but get this one in. Yes! Hey, happy days. Looks a good fish. 20-pounder for sure. First one in the bag. Been here for about, well, been fishing for about 15 minutes. So buzzing. Is that one showing me? Right, we've just weighed her up and she was 29 pounds and 8 ounces. What a great start. Fantastic looking fish. As we'll show you, look at that. Caught on a little hybrid wafter hook bait on a little simple Illusion D-rig, which we'll talk about in more detail at a later stage on this session. But for now I'm going to get this cracking fish back and get the rods back out, because I've just seen another one show not too far away, so looks like we found them. Happy days. Well, look at that bad boy. It's been about 3 hours since I caught the first fish. Obviously stayed put, got the rod back out, and it's the same rod that's away with this beauty at 32 pounds and 14 ounces. An absolute steam train of a fish, gave me a real good fight. And yeah, it's a great start. Like I say, 3 hours in, 2 fish on the bank, absolutely fantastic. I think what we're going to do, we've got about an hour or so of light left. We're going to get the bivvies up and set up camp here for tonight. We haven't seen fish anywhere else. The only fish we're seeing are on the back of the wind. There's fish in front of me. There's fish in front of Harry down the bank as well. So yeah, this is as good a place as any to set up camp for tonight. And if there's anything else to report, I'll see you in a bit.
Well, first time in quite a while that I've managed to get out from behind the camera, and I'm in front of the camera and I'm holding a 32 pound 10 ounce mirror. So yeah, pretty good start for me. It took me a little bit longer to sort my rods out than Lewis because I was filming him doing so well earlier. But yeah, what start. I've fed a couple of areas with a bit of pellet and a bit of KG1 and just fished pop-ups over all of the spots. And yeah, it's about 11 o'clock now and this one rattled off, so happy, very happy. Absolutely beasted me, properly beat me up, but yeah, mega pleased.
Well, good morning. very quiet night for me, but at first light my left hand rod rattled off for this beauty, £30 5 ounces. Harry's had a better night than myself. He's had 2 fish, a £28 common and a £30 mirror. It seems that the bay where I caught the fish from yesterday has gone very, very quiet. The fish must have moved out into the night, out into the main body of the lake perhaps, and further down to my left where Harry is. This fish actually came on my left hand rod, which is fished down to my left hand margin, not in the bay. And like I say, Harry's had a couple of bites further down to my left, so I'm in two minds whether to move or whether to stay put, because this could be a daytime area, this bay that I've had the fish from yesterday. So I'm going to just stay for the time being. I've got my binoculars with me. I'm going to watch the water this morning, see if I can see anything elsewhere, and if not, I'll stay where I am, as I have had a few bites from here. So I'll get this one back. Harry will show you his couple of fish, and then we'll talk tactics.
Well, check that out for an absolutely perfect common. It was a bit of a surprise, really. We didn't really expect to catch many commons. There are a lot of mirrors in here, but this is one of the originals from the lake, and yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing about this one. Absolutely annihilated me as well. Just ran me ragged, and eventually I managed to slip the net under it, and you can see why I'm a little bit pleased right now. Well, there's the last one of the night's flurry of activity. £34 12 ounces. All 3 of the fish that I've had, they've come on the same rod, and it's fished in a little bit of a different spot to the other 2. The other 2 are very clean and hard. This spot's got a little bit of weed over it, so I've been fishing long links and pop-ups, and once Lewis has shown you what he's doing, I'll run you through why I'm doing that. See you later, buddy.
Now I'm going to talk you through the rig that I've been using on this session so far. It's a bit different to the rig that I use for the majority of my fishing. It's a fluorocarbon D rig, which I fish with a critically balanced wafter hook bait. Started playing around with this a few months ago, various different sessions, just as an alternative to my more blatant in-your-face stiff rig pop-up. I love the stiff rig pop-up, and I use it all the time when I'm fishing the boilie-only approach, but there are times when I'm fishing venues where I'm feeding with particles and pellets, and the fish are going to be feeding much tighter to the lake bed. And in that instance, I need a rig that presents a balanced hook bait on that lake bed in amongst the freebies. And on this session so far, I've been feeding with some particles and some pellets via the catapult into the bay that's produced 3 fish so far, and so it lends itself perfectly to a wafter hook bait. And with the water being as clear as it is here, the fluorocarbon just disappears, and I'm sure we can show you a bit of underwater footage that will show you just how good this material is on the bottom. So we'll start with the fluorocarbon, £16. I'll just cut about 12 inches, like so. I'll take a hook. This is a size 5. I prefer big hooks, just a matter of preference, but for me, I've always think it's a bigger mouthful for the fish to try and eject. And all I do to start with is tie the hook on like I would do with a knotless knot, but obviously there's no loop in the end of the tag here. Make probably a good dozen turns around the shank so that the whipping is just in line with the point of the hook. Bring the line back through the back of the eye. Now the hook is secured like so. Next step is to take a mini hook ring swivel, thread the ring of the swivel onto the tag like so, and then we just pop the tag back through the back of the eye to create a D. We just pull that down, trim away a bit of the tag, and then we just blob it down with a light ever so carefully not to burn his fingers or damage the hook link. And that tag now cannot pass back out the eye of the hook because the blobbed section is preventing it from doing so. So I've created there a nice large D section, which when the hook bait's mounted on the swivel will give plenty of movement when a fish tries to eject the hook bait. Because this SR hook has an outturned eye and the fluorocarbon has an element of stiffness to it, it creates a really nice angle, meaning there's no need for any shrink tubing, any liner liners, anything like that. It's a really nice wide gape there from the point of the hook to where the fluorocarbon exits the eye, meaning you get really good firm purchase on the bottom lip of the fish. And the hook holds I've had so far on this session and over the last few weeks that I've been using this rig have been really encouraging. So moving on, we'll then take a trans-khaki anti-tangle sleeve, thread that on like so, then we tie a loop in the end because I'm using a quick change swivel, so allowing me to change rigs very quickly should the hook point go. I can leave a fish in the net, just detach the rig, leave that with the fish in the net, put a new rig on, cast the rod back out and attend to the fish. And the loop I use, with this being fluorocarbon, is a loop called the Perfect loop. It's a very strong loop and doesn't damage the fluorocarbon in any way. So what we do is we create a loop like so, and then we take this tag and we bring it around the front of the loop and then behind it, and then the tag goes down in between the two loops here. So you've got this loop, and then the tag is going in between the pair of them, and then I'm trapping that with this finger here. Then take a baiting needle, take the front loop and bring it through under the back loop, and then it's just a case of adding some moisture working it down nicely like so. We just trim away the tag. The reason they call it the Perfect loop is because when you tie the knot into a stiff material like fluorocarbon, it doesn't kick off one way or the other, which you'd get if you used a figure of 8 or an overhand loop. This sits nice and straight, and like I say, it's very strong. Anti-tangle sleeve pulls up over that like so, and we're getting there with this rig. Not much left to do now. Next stage, a couple of blobs of tungsten putty. Now the fluorocarbon, being a heavy material as it is, sinks well as it on its own. However, I see no harm in adding just a couple of blobs of putty just to ensure it's pinned down, and when fish swim over it and it wafts up, the putty's just helping to bring it back down and reset itself nicely. A couple of blobs, like I say, sort of mouse dropping size, don't need to be too big, it's very dense material anyway. Really easy to work with this putty, literally just work it between your fingers and it's gripping on there lovely. So that's the rig. We'll just attach the hook bait now. It's ready to be cast into the lake. The hook bait I'm using is a hybrid wafter. I'm feeding with some hybrid boilies in addition to the pellets and particles that I'm baiting up with, so it makes sense to use a hook bait that mimics something that's out there that the fish are feeding on. And I attach it in just the same way as I attach pop-ups onto my stiff rig, which is with the method that's become affectionately known as the blob method. Let's take a small length of bait floss, pass it through the eye of the mini hook ring swivel like so. Bring the two sides up so they're about level. Take the baiting needle, bring both tags into the gate of the needle like so, bring it through, and we just pull the bait onto the swivel so the barrel of the swivel pulls up inside the bait. This allows the hook bait to rotate fully, gives it lots of flexibility and lots of movement on the lake bed, and again that's important in just giving the fish another element to deal with and allowing the hook bait to behave as natural as possible. Just trim that down so the tags are about a centimetre or so, and then we just carefully blob the two tags down like so. Give it a little pat there with the end of the lighter to seal it. Now that bait is not coming off on the cast. Even if the coots pick me up and drop the rig, it's not going to come off. It's nice and secure on there. And by having the barrel in one end, plugging it, and the blob section on the other end, although I've pierced the hook bait, it's now sealed, so it's not going to soak in too much water and take away the buoyancy of the hook bait. And that is the rig finished. Nice and simple, by no means revolutionary, but it's very effective and achieves exactly what I want, which is a balanced hook bait that just sits on the lake bed off the weight of the hook like so, in amongst the pellets and particles and boilies that the fish are feeding on, and ready to take hold. As you can see, the movement on that D as the fish tries to eject the bait, the hook bait comes down like so, leaving a really wide aggressive gape for the hook to take hold in the bottom lip. Simply fishing this with a lead clip arrangement with 16 pound fluorocarbon mainline straight through, a couple of blobs of putty up the line, and a 4 ounce lead. So far it's worked a treat.
This is my swim. Basically behind me, over my right hand shoulder, there's a small bay, and from the centre of that bay there's a bar, quite a shallow bar, probably 3 or 4 foot, that runs out in towards the centre of the lake, probably about 40-50 yards out into the lake. And when I got into the swim, just the other side of the bar there was the odd fish that poked its head out, so I thought the bar was an obvious place to put 2 of my rods. Now, one of my rods has done all of the bites, and that was placed sort of just on the side of the bar in about 4 feet of water, and it's quite weedy there, so I thought I needed to use something that I could present over the weed. A pop-up was going to be the obvious choice, and I've recently started using quite long links. Rather than like a helicopter rig or a chod rig that sort of slides up the line, I prefer to use a long link of supple braid or a supple coated braid to sit over the top of that. So this is what I've been doing. I've got an inline lead there, fish drop-off style, so we've got the inline drop-off kit, the grommet in the back plugs in, and that all falls away on the take. And then I've got about 14-15 inches there of Camotex soft. It's obviously very, very soft and supple, so when that sinks, when the pop-up sinks, the pop-up's critically balanced, and that's going to lay down over all of the weed. I've got a XSC hook there, and that's got a piece of shrink tubing over the eye, and that's very, very aggressively curved. So with that super sharp hook, that's going to turn and catch the bottom lip instantly. Like Lewis has done, I've mounted the hook bait on a micro hook ring swivel, although I've got a hook bead round the hook, so the swivel is actually mounted on the hook rather than on a D. And I've mounted the hook bait blob style as Lewis has done. And one of the sort of crucial points with this rig is that you need it to fall slowly so that it sits on top of the weed. So I've critically balanced the pop-up to my bit of tungsten putty, and what I also do is I get a piece of PVA foam, and basically I give it a lick and then I put it round the hook, sort of covering the hook point, and basically that's going to cast out, and it's going to sit like that until the PVA foam melts away, and then it's just going to slowly fall down, land on top of the weed, and I know that I'm presented every single time. And yeah, just over a scattering of boilies, it seemed to have done the trick and got me those bites last night. So hopefully it'll happen again tonight. It's not really seeming to be a daytime area. I haven't seen any fish, but I am confident that they'll come back in later this evening.
Well, unfortunately, it's been a bit of a frustrating day today. The weather hasn't been kind to us. We've had flat, calm conditions, bright blue skies. It's been over 20 degrees, which in September is hotter than average. And a complete contrast to yesterday's overcast with a bit of ripple and yeah, so not a lot to report, I'm afraid. The fish haven't played ball. Myself and Harry have been watching the water like hawks all day today, just for any signs to sort of tell us to move, but unfortunately the fish haven't shown. So we've both decided that, given the fact that we've both caught from the swims we're in, we're going to take a gamble and stay put for our last night. So I've already got 2 rods out for this evening. I've just got to put the last one out now. It's all clipped up. I've got elastic on the line so I can get it back out every time. So all I need to do is just hook a little PVA mesh bagger pellet onto the rig, and then just make sure the line's not wrapped around the tip. Just aiming just to the well, pretty much towards the sun, basically, just to the side of the tallest tree on the horizon. It's only a light flick, it's not far out. It actually goes onto the clip. Down. Now, as I felt that lead go down through the water, as it's hit the lake bed, it's gone bang and the tip's cracked right back, indicating that it's a very hard, firm spot. There's weed all around it, and there's one big hard area. I've actually got 2 rods on it, that the area's that big. But like I said, there's thick weed all around it, and as long as I land the cast in the area on the where I'm getting the real firm crack, I've had a few bites. So hopefully, although last night was pretty quiet, I'm hoping with the different weather conditions that maybe the fish might feed this evening in this area. Maybe I'm clutching at straws, but you've got to stay positive. I learnt my lesson last week out in Holland for thinking negatively, and things turned out all right in the end. And considering we've caught quite a few already, I don't think I'm in any position to be in a bad mood. It's a beautiful lake, it's a beautiful evening. We've caught some beautiful fish. Hopefully there'll be more, but if not, hey, it's been a great time. So I'll get this one on the alarm and the bobbin clipped on. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to cook myself and Harry some chicken, new potatoes and baked beans.
Well, last night was a bit quieter than the previous night. I've had just the one bite and Lewis hasn't had any more, but check it out, 35 pound 2 ounces of an absolute breeze block mirror. Yeah, this one came on the slow sinking pop-up on the long link that I showed you yesterday. And the sun's up now, we've got a few more hours left. Not sure whether we're going to get a chance. I mean, we didn't have anything through the day yesterday and it's going to be similar today. But if we don't get another chance, what a way to end it, eh? Well, we've literally just started packing up. And as always, you leave your rods out till last, and rod tip started bending over. Yeah, and I'm in, and it's absolutely ripped off. It's probably, I hooked it at about 40 yards, and it's probably now at about 80 yards. Right, well, he's coming in. Wonder if I'll be able to scooch him across this bit of weed here. Looks a good fish. Could he get it in? Go on. Here we go. And he's in. How about that for a bit of last gasp effort? Happy days. Well, I didn't think it was this big, but at 39 pounds and 3 ounces, I'm blown away. What a lake! What a way to sort of end our session as well. Just unbelievable. Good job I had the bait in shallow water, I think, because in any more than about 4 feet, I don't think I would have had a bite on a day like this in September. But I'm just absolutely lost for words. Amazing.
Well, what a fantastic end to a fantastic session that we've had here on Holme Fen. We've packed all our gear away. We'd literally just had the rods out and I heard a shout from Harry. I noticed the rod was bent over and he was into a fish. And the biggest one of the trip. Incredible. What an average size we've had, well over 30 pound. And when this lake opens in only a few months' time, the sport on offer is going to be unrivaled anywhere else in the UK. Looking back on the session, I feel now I've definitely made a mistake by staying put. Caught fish very early on the first day. We had low pressure, overcast conditions, and the fish were obviously comfortable on the back of the wind in the bay that I chose to fish, and I caught fish pretty quickly. Since then it's really gone very quiet. We've had high pressure conditions since yesterday morning, bright blue skies, and Harry, who's fishing these rods in only 4 foot of water compared to the 12 foot that I'm fishing in, has picked up a bite today in blazing hot conditions. It's well into 20 degrees and proof indeed that fishing the shallower water on hot days at this time of year can pay dividends. If I had my time again, of course I'd have moved swim yesterday, found a shallow area of the lake. That's my mistake, but I'm still going home very happy. I've had my biggest fish of over 32 pounds, seeing Harry catch that 35 this morning and finishing off with that 39. What a fantastic trip. If I've learnt one thing, don't let the cameraman fish.
If you'd like to watch more videos from Fox Fishing TV, then click the link here. Or if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, then click the link here.